あります。to exist. います also means to exist. あります is used when an inanimate object exists. います is used when an animate object exists. いろいろな various. 女の人 woman. 男の人 men. 女の子 girl. 男の子 boy. 犬 dog. 猫 cat. パンダ panda. ゾウ elephant. 木 tree. wood. もの thing. 電池 battery. バッテリー is also commonly used. But when it comes to these disposable ones, they're called 電池 or 乾電池。箱 box. スイッチ switch. For example, 電気のスイッチ means light switch. 冷蔵庫 refrigerator. テーブル table. ベッド bed. 棚 shelf. ドア door. 扉 is also commonly used. 窓 window. ポスト mailbox. ビル building. 建物 also means building. 建物 is used to refer to any type of building, but ビル is used to refer to typically tall and non-residential buildings. コンビニ convenience store. 公園 park. 喫茶店 cafe, coffee shop. Cafe is also commonly used. 屋 shop, store. For example, パン屋 is a bakery. ラーメン屋 is a ramen shop. 乗り場 place for boarding vehicles. For example, タクシー乗り場 is a taxi stand. 県 prefecture. For example, 愛知県 is 愛知 prefecture. 上 top, above, over, on 下 under, below, beneath 前 front, before 後ろ back, behind 右 right 左 left 中 inside 外 outside 隣 next to 近く near, vicinity 間 between, among 玄関 the entrance area of a Japanese house where you remove your shoes. Typically, genkan has a lower floor level than the rest of the house. 今 living room. Living is also commonly used. 寝室 bedroom. Bedroom is also commonly used. 廊下 hallway. お風呂 bathroom, in which people take a bath or shower. In a typical Japanese house, お風呂 and トイレ are separate rooms. 台所 kitchen. Kitchen is also commonly used. Okay, now let's move on to grammar. Location にあります。Location にいます。As I explained in the last lesson, います and あります they both mean to exist. But います is used when the object that exists can move by itself. And あります is used when the object that exists cannot move by itself. For example, 猫がいます literally means a cat exists, and it can mean there's a cat or I own a cat. パソコンがあります literally means a computer exists, and it can mean there's a computer or I own a computer. Today we're going to focus on this usage number 1. We're going to learn how to say there's a cat in the garden. So the location where something exists is marked with the ni particle. Garden in Japanese is 庭。庭に猫がいます。庭に猫がいます。Minna no Nihongo always sticks with this word order, in which the location information comes first. But it's also very common to change it to 猫が庭にいます。猫が庭にいます。Japanese word order is usually very flexible. Now, how would you say these sentences in Japanese? Please pause the video if you like more time. 庭に犬がいます。庭に犬がいます。キッチンに冷蔵庫があります。キッチンに冷蔵庫があります。千葉県にディズニーランドがあります。千葉県にディズニーランドがあります。この町に図書館がありません。この町に図書館がありません。So in lesson 6, we learned that the de particle is also used to mark the location. but you cannot use the de particle here. Yes, both the ni and de particles mark the location. However, the choice of which one to use depends on a verb. For example, if the verb is imasu, to exist, the location should be marked with the ni particle. But if the verb is like hatarakimasu, to work, for example, the de particle should be used. So remember this. The ni particle marks the location of existence, meaning the ni particle marks the location where a thing exists. On the other hand, the de particle marks the location where an activity takes place. So most verbs are used with the de particle to mark the location. For example, 日本で働きます. I work in Japan. 家で食べます. I eat at home. 学校で勉強します. I study at school. On the other hand, the ni particle is used as a location marker with not that many verbs. For example, います, あります, 住んでいます, to live, and 泊まります, to stay. These verbs are used with the ni particle to mark the location. 日本にいます. I'm in Japan. 家にあります. It's in the house. 日本に住んでいます. I live in Japan. 日本に泊まります. I stay in Japan. What these verbs have in common is that you can do these actions just by existing somewhere. います, あります. They literally mean to exist. 住んでいます, to live. What do you have to do to say you live somewhere? You just have to be there for a long time. You just have to exist in one place for a long time to say I live there, right? 泊まります, to stay. When you say you stay somewhere, what you're doing is essentially to exist in one place for a while, right? So when the action is something that can be done just by existing somewhere, the location is marked with the ni particle. Do you guys remember that there is another particle that marks the location? It's the e particle. The e particle is used when the location is the direction or destination of the movement. So the e particle is used with verbs that express movement, such as 行きます to go, 来ます to come, and 帰ります to return. Actions of moving from one place to another. 日本へ行きます. I'll go to Japan. 東京へ来ます. I'll come to Tokyo. 東京へ帰ります. I'll return to Tokyo. And as we learned in lesson 4, the e particle in this context is interchangeable with the ni particle because the ni particle can also mark the destination. So it's totally okay to say 日本に行きます. 東京に来ます. 東京に帰ります. And the meanings don't really change. In summary, the e particle marks the location when the location is the direction or destination, like 東京へ行きます. Or you can also say 東京に行きます. And ni particle can also mark the location where something exists, like 東京にいます. And de particle marks the location where an action takes place, like 東京で働きます. "あの公園にポストがあります。あの公園にポストがあります。明日大阪へ行きます。明日大阪へ行きます。or 明日大阪に行きます。日本でこの本を買いました。日本でこの本を買いました。There's a cake in the fridge in Japanese is 冷蔵庫にケーキがあります。It's also common to change the word order to ケーキが冷蔵庫にあります。And as we learned in the last lesson, you can also topicalize ケーキ and say ケーキは冷蔵庫にあります。Now the cake is the topic of the sentence, and it's like, as for the cake, it's in the fridge. As I explained in the last lesson, you should say ケーキが冷蔵庫にあります. If you want to emphasize the information ケーキ. And you should say ケーキは冷蔵庫にあります if the main point of your sentence, what you want to say the most, is 冷蔵庫にあります It's in the fridge. But there are situations where you cannot say ケーキは冷蔵庫にあります no matter how much you want to emphasize the part 冷蔵庫にありますみんなの日本語 explains In a sentence, noun は location にあります Quote, the noun must be something that both the speaker and the listener are aware of. So that means the topic has to be something that both the speaker and the listener are already aware of. Otherwise, it cannot be the topic. Here's an example situation. Let's say my mom bought a cake, but I don't know about this cake. In this situation, my mom would say, ケーキが冷蔵庫にあります There is a cake in the fridge. She would never say, ケーキは冷蔵庫にあります By the word ケーキ, she meant the cake that she bought. But I'm not aware of this specific cake she's talking about. So this cake cannot be the topic. So, ケーキが冷蔵庫にあります is the only correct option here. But if she first says, 今日ケーキを買いました I bought a cake today. Now I'm aware of this specific cake. So now she can make it a topic and say, ケーキは冷蔵庫にあります But omitting ケーキは is also okay because it's obvious she's talking about the cake here. Or also, if my mom and I bought the cake together, for example, now we are both aware of this specific cake from the beginning. So she can right away say, ケーキは冷蔵庫にあります But it doesn't mean you always have to make it a topic. You can still say, ケーキが冷蔵庫にあります if you feel like you need to emphasize ケーキ. But you want to make it a topic if your main point of the sentence is 冷蔵庫にあります It's in the fridge. Another example. パンダが中国にいます There are pandas in China. Panda here refers to pandas in general as the animal species. Because it's not a specific panda, the other person must be aware of them, right? I mean, who doesn't know the animal panda? So it's okay to topicalize the word panda because both the speaker and the listener are aware of it. But again, it doesn't mean you have to make it a topic. You make it a topic when your main point of your sentence is 中国にいます. For example, if someone asks me, パンダはどの国にいますか? In which countries do pandas live? I would answer, パンダは中国にいます. Because the main point of the sentence is 中国にいます. It's in China. But if someone asks me, 中国にどんな動物がいますか? What animals are there in China? Then I would answer, パンダが中国にいます. Because panda is the part answering the question. So I would emphasize the word panda. Again, N is in location in Japanese is N がロケーションにあります or N はロケーションにあります Now we're going to learn how to ask where is N? When you ask a question in Japanese, all you have to do is replace the information you want to know with the correct question word. So it's either N がどこにありますか or N はどこにありますか But we almost never say N がどこにありますか N はどこにありますか is definitely more common. And here are the reasons why. First of all, this N always meets the requirement of becoming the topic. Again, the requirement is that both the speaker and the listener are aware of it. Because think about it. When you're asking someone where N is, the other person must know about this N, right? Otherwise, you shouldn't be asking where N is to this person in the first place, right? And second of all, the main point of the sentence is どこにありますか? Where is it? Therefore, in most contexts, you want to topicalize N and say N はどこにありますか? N is in Tokyo is either N が東京にあります or N は東京にあります Now, how would you ask what is in Tokyo? It's either 何が東京にありますか or 何は東京にありますか? This time, we almost never say 何は東京にありますか? 何が東京にありますか is the one that's natural. Question words such as 何 usually can't be the topic, because doing so goes against the very nature of the concept of topic. You use a question word because you don't know it, and you cannot make something you don't know as the topic. 何は東京にありますか would be like, as for what? Is it in Tokyo? It sounds very unnatural. It should be 何が東京にありますか? たかしさんはどこにいますか? たかしさんはどこにいますか? トイレにいます。トイレにいます。この部屋に何がありますか? この部屋に何がありますか? ベッドがあります。ベッドがあります。Again, N is in location is N が location にあります。or N は location にあります。But actually, there's another way to say N is in location. Do you guys remember this sentence structure? N は location です, which we learned in lesson 3. N は location です also means N is in location. And a very common mistake is N は location にです. Do not make this mistake. に is not needed. Where is N is N はどこにありますか? or N はどこですか? N はどこですか? Again, the common mistake is N はどこにですか? に is not needed. So for example, I'm in Tokyo is 私は東京にいます。私が東京にいます。or 私は東京です。This 私は東京です literally means as for me, Tokyo. So depending on the context, the meaning can change. 今どこにいますか? Where are you? 私は東京です。As for me, Tokyo. Here it means I'm in Tokyo. 私は大阪が好きです。I like 大阪。たかしさんは How about you, たかしさん? 私は東京です。As for me, Tokyo. Here it means I like Tokyo. 私は京都の大学に行きました。I went to a university in Kyoto. たかしさんは How about you? 私は東京です。As for me, Tokyo. Here it means I went to a university in Tokyo. But anyway, the important thing I want you guys to remember is when you use this sentence structure, N は location です。Do not put the に particle after the location. N is in location. Location に N がいます。Now we're going to learn how to be more specific about the location using the no particle. Reference point の position に N がいます。N is in the position of reference point. Here are the common positional words. For example, there's a cat on top of the table is テーブルの上に猫がいます。テーブルの上に猫がいます。There's a switch to the right of the door is ドアの右にスイッチがあります。木の下に男の子がいます。木の下に男の子がいます。本屋の隣にカフェがあります。本屋の隣にカフェがあります。タクシー乗り場は駅の前にあります。タクシー乗り場は駅の前にあります。私はあなたの後ろにいます。私はあなたの後ろにいます。 ここの近くに公園があります。ここの近くに公園があります。階段の左にエレベーターがあります。階段の左にエレベーターがあります。トイレは駅の中にあります。トイレは駅の中にあります。窓の外に鳥がいます。窓の外に鳥がいます。And lastly, here's how to use the positional word 間 between. N is between place 1 and place 2. In Japanese is place 1と place 2の間に N がいます。So there's a flower shop between the bookstore and the supermarket is 本屋とスーパーの間に花屋があります。本屋とスーパーの間に花屋があります。Noun 1 や Noun 2. Lastly, we're going to learn the ya particle. The ya particle means and it's used to list multiple nouns. So it's very similar to the to particle, which we learned in lesson 4. However, here's the difference between these two particles. A と B と C means A, B, and C. But A や B や C means A, B, C, etc. So to is used to list all the items. On the other hand, ya is used to list some items from the list. It indicates there are other items not mentioned. So use to list all the items and use ya to give examples. Also, when we use ya, we sometimes put nado after the last item to emphasize that there are other items on the list. So etc. meaning is emphasized. 私は最近イギリスとドイツに行きました。I recently went to the UK and Germany. Here it implies this person didn't go to any other countries recently, just the UK and Germany. 私は最近イギリスやドイツに行きました。I recently went to the UK, Germany, and others. It implies that this person has also recently visited other countries besides the UK and Germany. 私は最近イギリスやドイツなどに行きました。Now it's emphasizing the fact that there are also other countries not mentioned here. How'd you say these sentences in Japanese? 机の上にペンとノートがあります。机の上にペンとノートがあります。机の上にペンやノートなどがあります。机の上にペンやノートなどがあります。昨晩、寿司とうどんを食べました。昨晩、寿司とうどんを食べました。昨晩、寿司やうどんなどを食べました。昨晩、寿司やうどんなどを食べました。Please be careful that to and ya are used to list nouns. You cannot list other parts of speech. So for example, eat and drink is not 食べますと飲みます。This is wrong. In order to list multiple verbs, you have to use the te form, which we will learn in lesson 14. So eat and drink is 食べて飲みます。Alright, that's all for this video. 今日も本当にお疲れ様でした。最後までビデオを見てくれて本当にありがとうございます。じゃあ、またね。